All right, so today, new project, follow-on project, made my daughter and son-in-law a cherry table. And my daughter told me that they would like to have a bench to go along with it. So I'm going to make a bench, and the first thing I'm going to do is work on the top of the bench. I need to join the two pieces together, so I'm going to start with this piece of cherry. Get this started. I'll bring the camera around so you can see what the cut actually looks like. That's how the blade comes out to cut the slot. So I'll just go ahead and finish that and turn the camera off while I'm doing it because there's nothing else to see, and come back to you when we start gluing the piece up. Okay, time for glue up. So I've got the 7 biscuits. What I'm going to do, I've got 2 clamps underneath. I'll put a 3rd clamp underneath in a little bit. It's just in my way. I'm going to sit these up on end, right next to each other. And let me show you what this looks like. So you can see the slots cut in, right about in the middle is what you're looking for, about 8 inches apart. We'll put some glue right in each of the slots. Okay. And then we simply put the biscuits in. A little bit of glue squeezes out. We'll take our brush and we'll make sure that we coat that really well. The biscuit, coat the biscuit really well. What I'm doing now is I'm spreading glue on both sides. You don't want to just put it on one side, and you don't need a lot. You just want a coating of glue, a light coating of glue on both sides, and the glue will bond to each other. So our first board's laid down. Bring the second board down to it. Line up the pieces. And then just put them together. And that's it. Just keep doing that until I get the gap closed. And clean up any squeeze out. So you can see a lot of clamps on it. And then down here, this is all the squeeze out you're really looking for. You don't want too much. You squeeze out too much, and what you're essentially doing is squeezing out all the glue. This seat, I think, is a little wide. Right now it's at 18 inches. I think I might cut it down to 14 or 15 inches. I'll kind of get a better feel for that once I get it out of the clamps. But this is just a little bit too wide. But that's it. That's the bench top. Okay, so Rebecca asked for this bench, and I thought long and hard about how I wanted to make it, and I decided that I was going to go with the same basic shape of leg that I used on their table. And I have to come up with a way to join the stringers for the bench. So that's what it looks like. just cut a groove in the leg. But if you look at it on end, you can see that it's key-shaped or dovetail-shaped. And the next thing I need to do is cut the stringer to match that shape so that it'll slide right in. And that's what I'm going to experiment on right now. This is just an experiment. I'll do this on a router table, but it's to give me an idea of how this is going to work. That's what I'm looking for. This may not be deep enough. Not even close. Not even close to deep enough. So I'll have to keep working on it. I've spent a great deal of time dialing this in. I've decided that I want to go with a dovetail about, let's see, about, well, that's kind of hard for you to see, about that size. This one right here. So I've set up my routing table and I put a fence on and a block. And the purpose of that is I'm going to ride the piece up against the fence. I've got the depth of the dovetail bit set, and then I will push it until I come to the stop, and that way every single one is exactly the same size. Now the problem, of course, is I have to do this twice. you can see these marks. This one, with this fence set up, I can route out. But if I turn this over, you can see that I'd be routing out the wrong side. So I'm going to need to readjust everything and slide everything over and take time setting it up a second time. So because it's a dovetail bit, I actually have to draw it back like this to get it off. So I want to make sure that I have the router shut down and the bit has spun down before attempting to do that. And that's it. So now what I have to do is prepare the fence to route this out. So I'll have to slide everything over in this direction, and I'll have to make sure I reset this stop block so that it gives me this exact same depth on the other side. And that's going to take some time. I'll work on that tomorrow. I'm going to run the rest of the pieces, and now you can see what it is I was talking about before. On the one side, I have the dovetail cut, and now that I've rearranged the fence, I can cut the dovetail on the other side and get it relatively centered. And this is really important because the more the more exact I can get this, the more square the table will, or the bench will be. So I'll run these through just like I did the other one. Almost done milling. What I've done is made a jig to rest on the workpiece so that I can run it across the workpiece. When I'm done with the apron, I still have to put a dado in the back of it. You may notice that I put a groove at the bottom, and this is to represent what's on the table itself already, or not to represent, to replicate what's on the table already. So let me go ahead and get started. So that's the first cut. Now I have to flip the board over to do the second cut. And this is going to take a while, so I'm not going to leave the camera running. It's time for glue up. And this is the moment that we've been working towards. I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the channel we created. Spread that out really well. This dovetail joint is extremely strong this way, but going up, we need a little bit of help. Now, the good thing is that this is a pretty tight joint. In fact, you have to leave room for the glue when you make these joints, and it's easy to make them too tight, thinking that that'll be more secure. But you need just a little bit of room for the glue. And this should simply slide in. Some important things to consider here. Make sure you have the piece oriented in the direction you want. And make sure that you put it in the right slot. It's easy to get yourself turned around when you do this. Wait a minute, I may have just gotten myself turned around. Hold on. Yeah, I did. That's what I mean. Pay attention. It's easy to get distracted. And I've always wanted to do this. I never have. And having done it, seeing how actually easy it is, I think I'll make a habit of it. I like this better for this connection than the mortise and tenon. So let me go ahead and see if I can clamp this up. There we go. This one I want down just a little bit more. Good. A little more. Very little glue squeeze out. That's nice. And there. We'll set this off to dry and keep going. So I'm finishing up the glue up. I glued this together and let it dry. This one and this one. And now what I'm doing is attaching the side rails, and I'll clamp it up. I'm almost done. I told you before that I was done with the milling, and I am with this, but I still need to make some corner brackets for in here, and that'll prevent the whole thing from racking this way, coming out of square. And I'll make that out of some old cherry that I have laying around. But this is going together really well. All right. And now, not exactly sure how I want to do this. It might be better to do it like this. I think I'm going to put it on the floor. Shit. Well, that didn't work. If you look, I just blew these two table legs out. Split it here and here. So I'm going to have to replace them. So let me get this taken apart and we'll start over. All right, I'm going to try this again. Last time ended in complete and utter disaster. I did redo it just a little bit. And one of the things I'm going to do this time is I'm going to connect the short ends. And I'll be right back with you because this needs to be sanded before I install it. Okay, I've spent some time. I made these blocks and you'll see what these are for in a little bit. We're back ready to finish the glue up, and I'm hopeful that it goes well. I always have to think which is up and which is down, and it can sometimes get really confusing, so you have to, I have to take a moment to think about it. So this is actually going down, this detail, but because it's upside down, I need it to go up. So you can see how you can get confused really fast. Okay, so I've just spent some time machining this block, and the block will fit down in this groove, and it'll fit because in the middle I can spread this quite a bit and then slide it up with a little bit of persuasion, and we'll get to that here in just a couple of minutes. But the idea here is to lock this corner into a 90, and the same on that side as well. So let me go ahead and get started with this.